Outdoor adventures can be thrilling and fun, but sometimes they end in the worst ways imaginable. In this video, we'll look at 5 more real stories of the worst deaths in the history of outdoor adventures. Tragedies that show the risks that come with seeking thrills in the great outdoors. It was January 1st, 2008, in the Blue Ridge Mountains of northern Georgia. Meredith Hope Emerson, a 24-year-old University of Georgia graduate, set out to hike on Blood Mountain. She was an experienced hiker, confident in her skills, and brought along her beloved Labrador mix, Ella, for company. The day was cold, but the scenic trails of the Appalachian Mountains offered the perfect start to her new year. Meredith parked her car at the trailhead near Vogel State Park and began her journey. Along the way, she encountered other hikers, including an older man with a red dog. She exchanged polite greetings but continued on her path. However, when she didn't return home later that evening as expected, her friends grew concerned. By January 2nd, Meredith's phone calls had stopped, and her absence prompted her friends to file a missing person report. Authorities quickly began searching the area, and Meredith's car was found at the trailhead. This discovery raised alarm, leading to an intensive search involving hundreds of volunteers and law enforcement. Searchers soon found troubling signs along the trail: a baton, water bottles, dog treats, and evidence of a struggle. While many hoped Meredith was lost in the wilderness, investigators began to suspect something more concerning. Witnesses reported seeing a man with a red dog near the area where Meredith had vanished. The description matched Gary Michael Hilton, a 61-year-old drifter and survivalist known for roaming forests with his dog. Hilton had a troubling history and often targeted remote trails. Authorities quickly released his photo to the public. On January 4th, a gas station clerk recognized him cleaning out his van and alerted police. When Hilton's van was searched, blood evidence confirmed Meredith had been there. Under pressure, Hilton confessed and provided details in exchange for avoiding a death sentence. He later led investigators to Meredith's remains on January 7th. According to Hilton, he approached Meredith on the trail armed with a knife and baton, demanding her ATM card. Meredith, however, fought back fiercely, using her martial arts training to resist. During the struggle, she managed to injure Hilton, breaking his hand. Despite her bravery, Hilton overpowered her and took her captive. Meredith's resilience and quick thinking slowed Hilton down. She provided incorrect pins for her debit card, leaving an electronic trail that helped authorities track his movements. For 3 days, Hilton held her in his van, repeatedly trying to withdraw money. On January 4th, realizing he couldn't release her, he made a devastating decision. Hilton tied her to a tree, assuring her she would be let go, only to later return and end her life. To hinder identification, he desecrated her remains and left her in the Dawson Forest Wildlife Management Area. The discovery of Meredith's body devastated her family and friends. The community mourned her loss while taking some comfort in Hilton's capture. Investigators learned that Hilton's crimes extended beyond Meredith. He was linked to several other tragedies in national forests across the southeastern United States. In 2007, Hilton was found guilty of ending the life of Cheryl Dunlap, a nurse in Florida's Apalachicola National Forest. Her remains had been found in a fire pit. Hilton also admitted to targeting elderly hikers John and Irene Bryant in North Carolina's Pisgah National Forest. Irene's injuries were fatal, and John was found later with similar tragic circumstances. Hilton received life sentences for these cases and is currently on death row in Florida. Meredith's story left a lasting impact. Her loved ones established the Right to Hike organization to advocate for improved trail safety and emergency resources. Meredith's dog, Ella, was found alive near a dumpster where Hilton had discarded other belongings. She was adopted by Meredith's parents and became a cherished part of their lives. While Hilton's capture brought an end to his crimes, questions remain about whether earlier intervention could have saved lives. Meredith's courage and legacy continue to inspire efforts to make outdoor spaces safer for everyone. It was July 11th, 2023 at Yosemite National Park, California. Grace Roloff, a 20-year-old college student, had been planning an unforgettable adventure with her father, Jonathan. They were set to climb Half Dome, one of the park's most famous yet challenging hikes. The day started with excitement but ended in tragedy. Grace, a student at Arizona State University, loved hiking. She had already tackled tough trails like Angel's Landing in Zion National Park and the Grand Canyon. For this climb, she prepared carefully, even buying new hiking boots to ensure she was ready. Half Dome is no ordinary hike. It spans 14 to 16 miles round trip, with the final section requiring hikers to scale a 400-foot granite slope using metal cables. Only 300 permits are issued daily for this demanding climb. Grace and her father were thrilled to secure theirs. The day began with perfect weather, blue skies, and clear views. As they ascended the cables, the scenery was breathtaking. At the summit, they paused to take in the beauty of Yosemite, sharing a special moment of awe and gratitude. However, the descent was a different story. As they began their climb down, a storm suddenly rolled in. A black cloud approached rapidly, bringing heavy rain that turned the granite surface dangerously slick. The National Park Service warns hikers to avoid the cables during rain, as the conditions become extremely hazardous. Despite knowing the risks, Grace and Jonathan were caught in a crowd of hikers, unable to descend quickly. Grace soon realized the danger. "Dad, my shoes are slippery," she said. The new boots she had purchased, despite her experience, didn't hold up under the conditions. 3/4 of the way down the cables, she lost her footing and slipped between two wooden planks. Her father tried to grab her, but it was too late. Grace slid nearly 200 feet down the granite face. Jonathan watched helplessly as his daughter fell. Hoping she might have survived, he scrambled down the cables as fast as he could, but the terrain was too steep to reach her. Unable to descend further, he called for emergency help. Rain and hail continued to pound the mountain, making rescue efforts even more challenging. For 3 agonizing hours, rescue teams worked to reach Grace. Meanwhile, Jonathan stayed on the cables, calling out to his daughter. Unfortunately, when rescuers finally arrived, they confirmed that Grace had not survived the fall. The coroner later determined that she suffered a severe head injury and likely passed away instantly. Jonathan found some comfort in knowing she didn't suffer. Grace's death left a deep impact on her family and friends. Known for her kindness, determination, and love for life, Grace had been on track to graduate early and pursue a career as a high school math teacher. She balanced her studies with multiple jobs, including caring for a young woman with Down syndrome, and still found time for her passion for hiking. Her father described her as fearless but careful, someone who made others feel valued. The tragedy highlights the dangers of Half Dome, a trail that has claimed several lives since 2006, often due to falls on the cables during wet conditions. The cables installed in 1919 have seen little change over the years, even as the granite beneath them has become smoother and more slippery from constant use. Jonathan has since called for improvements to the trail's safety measures. He proposed adding more wooden planks to reduce the distance between them, or installing a wooden pathway over the granite. He also suggested requiring hikers to use safety harnesses. He emphasized that his daughter's life was worth more than the cost of making these changes, stating that if she could speak now, she would want to prevent such an incident from happening to someone else. In memory of Grace, a fundraiser was set up to support causes she cared about, including her high school's athletics programs and a young boy with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Many donors described her as a bright light who inspired everyone she met. For Jonathan, the loss is immeasurable. What began as a bonding experience with his daughter has become a painful memory. He has vowed never to hike Half Dome again, calling it unnecessarily dangerous. Through his advocacy, he hopes to honor Grace's legacy by making the trail safer for others and sparing other families from enduring such a heartbreak. It was May 18, 1980, in southwestern Washington. Robert Landsberg, a 48-year-old photographer from Portland, Oregon, was stationed just 4 miles from the summit of Mount St. Helens. For weeks, he had been documenting the volcano's activity, hoping to capture what experts predicted could be a catastrophic eruption. At 8:32 a.m. that morning, Mount St. Helens erupted with violent force, releasing a pyroclastic flow speeding down its slopes at 400 miles per hour. Faced with no chance of escape, Landsberg made a heroic decision to ensure his work would survive, leaving behind a powerful legacy. Mount St. Helens had shown signs of unrest for months. Small earthquakes began shaking the area in March 1980, and geologists observed a massive bulge forming on its northeastern slope, expanding at a rate of 5 feet per day by May. These developments pointed to an imminent eruption, drawing scientists, photographers, and curious visitors to the region. Among them was Landsberg, known for his dedication to his craft and willingness to take risks to document nature. Landsberg had spent weeks photographing the changing landscape of the mountain. On May 17th, the night before the eruption, he camped near the volcano, sensing that something significant was about to happen. On the morning of May 18th, the volcano had been eerily quiet for 4 days, leading some to believe the danger had passed. Landsberg parked his car near Sheep Canyon, just outside the restricted zone, and prepared for another day of capturing the mountain's volatile behavior. He was about 7 miles from the summit. At 8:32 a.m., a 5.1 magnitude earthquake shook the area. Seconds later, the volcano's northern face collapsed in a massive landslide, the largest in recorded history. This sudden collapse triggered a lateral blast, sending a deadly cloud of gas, ash, and rock speeding outward. Witnesses from a distance described the scene as apocalyptic. A geologist 9 miles away recalled seeing an incredible black cloud cascading down the mountainside. From his position, Landsberg would have seen the mountain collapse and the enormous ash cloud rushing toward him. Realizing he had only moments, he began photographing the advancing cloud, capturing each frame as it grew closer. When it became clear he couldn't escape, he returned to his car and made a series of quick, deliberate choices. Landsberg rewound the film from his camera and placed it in a protective canister. He then packed the canister and his camera into his backpack. In an extraordinary act of foresight, he placed the backpack on the seat beside him and used his body as a shield to protect it. The pyroclastic flow, with temperatures reaching 800 degrees Fahrenheit, engulfed Landsberg's car. He died instantly from the intense heat and ash. The eruption devastated the surrounding region, destroying 230 square miles of forest and killing 57 people. Rescuers focused on finding survivors in the chaotic aftermath of mud flows, ash, and debris. Landsberg's body wasn't discovered until June 4, 1980, 17 days after the eruption. His car, buried under thick ash, contained the backpack he had protected. Remarkably, the film inside had survived. When developed, Landsberg's photographs revealed a chilling sequence of events. The images showed the ash cloud growing larger and darker with each frame, documenting the eruption's sheer power. These photos, published in National Geographic in January 1981, provided scientists with valuable information about the progression of the disaster. Robert Landsberg's actions in his final moments reflected his dedication to documenting history and his remarkable presence of mind in an unimaginable situation. His photographs preserved a record of one of the most significant natural disasters in U.S. history and became a testament to his commitment to his work. By shielding his film with his body, Landsberg ensured his final images would survive even if he could not. It was Friday, March 31, 2023, at McCormick's Creek State Park in Owen County, Indiana. Brett and Wendy Kincaid, a devoted couple from Rossville, Indiana, were enjoying a peaceful evening doing what they loved most, camping. Married for nearly 26 years, they shared a deep passion for the outdoors and their faith. Brett, 53, was a skilled contractor known for his dedication, while Wendy, 47, was a longtime Purdue University employee admired by her colleagues. They were active in their church, cherished by their community, and proud parents and grandparents. McCormick's Creek State Park was the perfect spot for them to reconnect. That evening, they relaxed in their camper, surrounded by the beauty of nature. Unbeknownst to them, a severe storm was approaching, set to change their lives forever. Suddenly, the weather took a dramatic turn. The wind grew stronger and storm clouds loomed. Outdoor warning sirens echoed through the park, alerting campers to the threat of a tornado. Many sought safety in the park's cement bathhouse, but Brett and Wendy stayed in their camper, possibly unaware of the storm's severity or hopeful it would pass quickly. The tornado struck with devastating force, reaching wind speeds of 138 miles per hour. It tore through the campground, uprooting trees, flipping vehicles, and destroying campers. The powerful winds flattened much of the area, leaving behind scenes of destruction that rescuers would later describe as catastrophic. As the storm passed, emergency responders began their search late that night. Navigating through the debris in the early hours of April 1st, they faced a campground that was nearly unrecognizable. Roads were blocked by fallen trees, power lines hung precariously, and personal belongings were scattered everywhere. Despite the chaos, most campers who had taken shelter in the bathhouse emerged with minor injuries. The initial search efforts did not locate Brett and Wendy. Rescuers worked tirelessly, clearing paths and helping survivors reach safety at the nearby Canyon Inn. On Saturday morning, a larger search team returned, this time with daylight revealing the full scale of destruction. Focusing on the hardest-hit areas, they discovered the couple's camper among the wreckage. Tragically, Brett and Wendy were found deceased. Their loss was deeply felt, not only by their family, but also by their friends and the community they had impacted so profoundly. The Kincaids were remembered for their generosity, faith, and dedication to mentoring others. Andrew Bean, a close family friend, described them as humble and inspiring individuals whose love and values touched everyone they met. The tornado that claimed Brett and Wendy's lives was part of a larger outbreak of severe storms that weekend, which caused widespread devastation across multiple states. Indiana reported 5 fatalities, with Brett and Wendy among them, while the overall death toll reached at least 32. In the days following the disaster, McCormick's Creek State Park remained closed as officials worked to assess and repair the extensive damage. A GoFundMe page was set up to assist the Kincaid family with funeral expenses, and tributes poured in from those who knew and loved them. Their church community honored their memory, reflecting on their decades of service, including mentoring young couples and teaching Bible classes. Brett and Wendy Kincaid's story is a heartbreaking reminder of how unpredictable life can be. Their love, faith, and kindness left a lasting legacy, and their memory will continue to inspire all who were fortunate enough to know them. It was a quiet January night in 2022 at Lost Dutchman State Park, about 40 miles east of Phoenix, Arizona. The park is known for the Superstition Mountains, a beautiful but challenging range that draws hikers and adventurers. Among those visiting was Richard Jacobson, a 21-year-old from Mesa, Arizona, who loved the outdoors. He had planned a camping trip with a friend to the Flatiron Summit, one of the park's most famous and difficult peaks. Flatiron Summit is renowned for its stunning views, but is also risky due to its cliffs, unstable rocks, and narrow paths. Richard and his friend reached the summit and set up camp, enjoying the peace and beauty above the city lights. However, the adventure soon turned into a heartbreaking tragedy. At around 12:45 a.m., Richard decided to take a photo near the edge of the summit. He wanted to capture the city skyline below, contrasting with the wilderness around him. While his friend stayed at the campsite, Richard walked toward the edge with his phone and flashlight. In the darkness, Richard misjudged his footing on the uneven terrain and slipped, falling an estimated 700 feet. His friend, hearing the noise, immediately called 911 to report the accident. Rescue teams, including the Pinal County Sheriff's Office and the Arizona Department of Public Safety Ranger helicopter, were dispatched. Reaching the summit at night was extremely dangerous due to the same conditions that led to Richard's fall. Hours later, rescuers found Richard's body on a trail far below. It was confirmed that he had died instantly. Authorities stated there were no signs of foul play or substance use, calling it a tragic accident. As morning arrived, Richard's friend was airlifted from the summit, deeply shaken by the loss of his companion. Richard was remembered as a kind and adventurous young man. Andrew Thomas, who had spent time with Richard on a mission trip in 2020, described him as someone who respected and connected with everyone. He loved the outdoors, hiking, camping, and hunting. Although it was heartbreaking, Thomas noted that Richard was doing something he truly enjoyed. Richard's family expressed their grief but also celebrated his memory. His father, Richard Jacobson Sr., posted a touching message online, inviting friends and loved ones to honor his son's life. He wrote that Richie would truly be missed but always remain in their hearts. Flatiron Summit is a challenging destination, accessible via the Siphon Draw Trail, a 5.5-mile route that tests even experienced hikers. The steep paths and loose rocks make it risky, especially near the summit. Reviews on hiking websites often caution about the danger of falling, emphasizing the need for focus and caution. Unfortunately, accidents like Richard's are not uncommon. A 2018 study found that between 2011 and 2017, 259 people worldwide lost their lives while attempting selfies, with falls being one of the leading causes. Experts frequently warn hikers to prioritize safety and avoid risky behavior near cliffs or other hazardous areas. Brandon Torres, a member of Grand Canyon Emergency Services, stressed the importance of being mindful in dangerous locations. He explained that some accidents occur when people pretend to fall for a photo, only to lose their balance for real. Richard's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of combining exploration with distractions like photography. His tragic fall underscores the importance of staying cautious in high-risk environments.